Hey everybody, Foley here. It's time for the weekly news recap from the 13th to the 19th of January, or not January, fuck's sake, February 2000. One of these days I'll get it right. February 2023. Anyway, let us jump in. Let me scooch over a little bit so the fucking microphone isn't giving me a shadow. Anyway, so this week, some news coming out from Frogwares, who are a Ukraine-based developer, and as you might imagine, developing in Ukraine right now is a little bit difficult. But anyway, Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened has been delayed due to ongoing war in Ukraine. It's not exactly surprised. Guys, be safe, and take your time with it. Or, I don't know. Well, I suppose they need to investors and shareholders and what have you. Anyway, Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened from Ukrainian studio Frogwares has been delayed due to the ongoing war in the country. Had previously been slated for late this month, early next month, and is now instead slated for the next month. It's been pushed out. So it's late March, early April. They posted a video, like a gamers developer kind of video walkthrough that a lot of developers put them out, but this one in particular was quite harrowing because it also showed, what it's like to be trying to develop a game in the middle of a war zone. But anyway, part of the video was showing the frequent blackouts that are affecting the studio. As you might imagine, if your PC keeps going off, game development becomes rather difficult. We had been trying so hard to make our planned release window, but the continual interruptions to power on top of the frequent missile attacks since October meant we had to replan and reschedule almost every month. Hey Melvin, how's it going? Happy Sunday. This is from Frogware's head of publishing, Sergey Oganesian, maybe? Don't know, apologies. To say we are tired of how much all this has derailed our day-to-day work since the start of winter is an understatement. Very much so, but we're doing our best to push on. So yeah, imagine developing a game in the middle of a war zone is problematic. Take your time as much as you can. Like, obviously they're going to have responsibilities regarding paying their people and, recouping costs on investments and that kind of thing. So they kind of have to work. And in a lot of ways, working with people who are currently based in Ukraine, in my actual day job, having a job that is sort of mundane and divorced from the actual war is kind of therapeutic for them. It's helpful to have something normal, even if you're having to deal with bombs and shit that's happening during the day. So yeah, best of luck to Frogwares, but be safe and all that. Anyway, moving on. Diablo 4's beta begins in March, so this was part of IGN's FanFest, which ran this week. So early access to the beta will be March 17th and 19th. And then open access from March 24th to 26th, which means weekends, I guess. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of deal. Diablo 4 beta will run, yada, yada, yada. If you have pre-ordered the game, you can have the early access one. I think you get basically 2 weeks. Or not 2 weeks, but both weekends. And that's it. It hasn't been stated what platforms the beta are for. A lot of the times these things are PC only. I guess we will see. I don't remember if Diablo 3 did have an open beta. I just don't remember if it was a PC only type deal. A lot of the times it is. I guess we'll see. Alright, the monthly game refresh, this time for Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium. So starting with Game Pass, this month Madden. Who cares? SD Gundam Battle Alliance. Also, possibly, who cares? Although, notably, it's the only one that doesn't get art in this whole rundown, but what have you. Gundams, big mechs, beat each other up. Pretty sure you know if you like that kind of thing or not. Mountain Blade 2, Bannerlord, action RPG deal set in medieval Dark Ages. I always thought that was a tactics-based game. I didn't think it was an RPG type deal. Came out on Valentine's Day, or was added to Game Pass on Valentine's Day. Just subscribe to Game Pass today, Melvin. Good stuff. You will also be able to avail of these things. Shadow Warrior 3 Definitive Edition. I guess it comes with all of the DLC. Shadow Warrior 3 came out 2 years ago, maybe? Seems like it's a lot of fun. Kind of Doom, but a bit more irreverent kind of deal. Tons of new features and modes with fast-paced gunplay, razor-sharp melee combat, and a spectacular free-running movement system. modes and shit. Atomic Heart, which will be launching day 1 into Game Pass. Think of it as it's kind of the easiest way to look at it is BioShock, but Soviet Union instead of libertarians, and that's kind of the deal. We'll have a bit more to talk about Atomic Heart later on. PlayStation Plus actually has a good month this time around. It's actually adding quite a lot of pretty big games. So starting off with PlayStation Plus Extra, Horizon Forbidden West, which is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. I was gonna make a joke about something there, but I forget now. It was Frozen North. I was wondering, because it was always had other things. It was Frozen North, Forbidden West. What's the expansion to this one? Scorching something? I don't know, Scorching South? I don't know what it is. Anyway, open worlds. I was gonna say open world caveman times, but also the future somehow. That's kind of Horizon Forbidden West. Anyway, The Quarry, which is a supermassive choose-your-own-adventure horror game, not unlike the Dark Pictures anthology. We played it, a Let's Play on the channel, if you want to check that out. Hype for The Quarry, Melwin. We're looking, possibly myself and Melwin will play through The Quarry when it is out on PlayStation Plus. Just not sure when we'll be doing that, but soon, I would think. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. If you somehow have not got Resident Evil 7 at this point, you have no excuse now. Get it. It's a good game. Outriders. Moving on. Scarlet Nexus. Scarlet Nexus is really, really good. It's a really good brawler RPG thing. You have access to a lot of different psychokinetic abilities. The party members you bring into you, also you can temporarily use their abilities. So you can add like fire attacks, super defense, super speed and stuff like that to your character. On top of them, you can even have all of those powers all going at once and become this like crazy, incredibly powerful guy who can still be one hit killed. I don't know. It's a really good game. I have been considering Let's Playing it. It's trying to fit it into the schedule, but if you can't wait, it's free on PlayStation Plus. You have excuses not to play Resident Evil 7? No, they're not valid excuses. Gotta play it. Borderlands 3. Moving on. Tekken 7. Probably the best Tekken up till now. Maybe until Tekken 8 comes out, I would think, because Tekken 8 looks very, very good. But Tekken 7 has been getting a lot of good press. People who are super into fighting games are really liking Tekken 7. It's free, give it a shot. Fear is a good excuse. No. You gotta face your fears or something. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. Ace Combat is a dogfighting, fighter pilot type game. The VR mode is very, very good. So if you do have a PSVR, I would encourage you to check it out, because again, it's free on PlayStation Plus. Earth Defense Force 5. Earth Defense Force is a very strange 1 versus 1,000 type thing, where Earth is being invaded by aliens or giant insects or what have you, and you're just shooting everything with ridiculous weaponry. It's a very fun time, but if you are in any way arachnophobic, stay very far away from Earth Defense Force. These are very realistic insects for some reason. And then all 3 of the Tokyo RPG Factory games. So Onanaki, which we have. Pretty sure there's a Foley Plays Onanaki for a bit up on the channel. I really liked it. It is a isometric action RPG type thing where you have your main character, this guy, I forget his name, and you are paired up with like spirits, and each spirit has its own weapon type, and you can swap in between the different spirits that essentially swap out different weapons. So it's got a really, really nice, really varied combo system. Lost Sphere I actually haven't played. It's the only one I haven't played of the 3 Tokyo RPG Factory games. I played the demo and I just wasn't enamored by it. But to be honest, I don't actually remember it that well, so I'll have to have a look at it again. I Am Setsuna is Final Fantasy X. That is pretty much the gist of the story. It's a pretty by-the-book turn-based JRPG, but it's really well done. And it does have team-up attacks like Chrono Cross. Or sorry, Chrono. Well, yeah, Chrono Cross, but also Chrono Trigger's the one I actually meant to say. I encourage you to give it a look. The Forgotten City started out as an Elder Scrolls Skyrim mod. It is a time-traveling sort of detective game, sort of a whodunit type thing. The Forgotten City effectively has this issue where somebody starts or causes a curse to befall the city, and the gist of the story of the Forgotten City is for you to sort of undo it. So it's got this time loop thing where you have to go back in time, figure out what people are doing, go forward in time, figure out what happened when they did that, and then sort of change things in the past to see if it changes anything in the future, that kind of thing. It's really interesting, and as a mod, it was incredible. Just the amount of stuff they could get to work in Skyrim. And it has won awards for its story and stuff like that. I haven't played it. So I might play it now on the channel now that it's free. PlayStation Premium, which is the higher tier, the more expensive tier of PlayStation, and has been heavily neglected since its launch, shall we say. But not this month, because there's some pretty good ones out there. Legend of Dragoon, very good JRPG. Just go play it. It's very, very good. Wild Arm 2, also very good JRPG. You give that a shot. Harvest Moon, back to nature. If you like Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon will be your jam as well. And Destroy All Humans, which is actually the remake version, is being put on PlayStation Premium. So it's actually the PS4 version of Destroy All Humans. Cult classic. I don't particularly care for it myself, but I do know people who have played it or who are into it are like really, really into Destroy All Humans. So I don't know. Give it a look. Again, it is free asterisk on PlayStation Plus. So those are some of the games you can play in the future. But what about if you wanted to play some games right now? Well, you can play Wanted Dead, which is just a game we actually played on the channel on Friday. It is a throwback to the old brawler style game design of the PS3, PS2 era. So, you know, big open rooms that are way too big, but they have to accommodate the camera and you zipping about the place. Kind of clunky gameplay. This game is also incredibly hard. It's from the people who made Ninja Gaiden, and it seems to be the people who really wanted Ninja Gaiden to be very hard are the guys who made this, because it's really tough. But it does jump between a lot of different art styles. It's got this kind of 3D, fairly typical art style, then it's got live action stuff, and then it has an anime thing happening in the middle for some reason. But also, on top of that, it is very, very funny. Like, it absolutely does not take itself seriously. There's a lot of dumb shit happening in the background, in between missions, stuff like that. It's very good. I was laughing out loud a lot on the stream, even if the gameplay itself was kind of tough and also kind of one note. I'm feeling it's kind of a bit of a chore probably later on in the game, but it does kind of feel like you're playing the gameplay as sort of eating your vegetables to get to the dessert that is the in-between character stuff, which is really dumb. But yeah, very, very funny. I'm sure if it's... I imagine it is intending to be funny, but yes, it is probably not a game you would expect to be very funny. It reminded me a lot of Vanquish and Killer is Dead, Dead to Rights, Lollipop Chainsaw. It's like those kind of games. That's what it feels like, only like a PS4, PS5 version of it. Anyway, that's Wanted Dead. And there's Like a Dragon Ishin that has gotten a early release on Xbox One and Xbox Series. So Like a Dragon Ishin is effectively the Yakuza type games, but it is set in feudal Japan. This is technically a remaster of the original game, Yakuza Ishin, or I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure. Which only ever came out in Japan. It was never released in the West. It's now been released in the West because the Yakuza games are doing very, very well. But if you like those kind of games, the chances are you're well aware that this game is coming out and you're already planning to buy it. But if you already have it on Xbox, you can play it right now. If you're waiting for PlayStation or PC, you'll have to wait till next week, I think. It might actually be on PC already as well. I'm not sure. PlayStation, anyway, you have to wait till next week. Teeth Rhythm Final Bar Line, which is a game I want to play on the channel, but is definitely a game I will absolutely never be able to play on the channel because it is all of the music from the Final Fantasy games. Which means copyright strike immediately. as soon as you start to stream, copyright out of there. But yeah, it is a rhythm-based game taking you through all of the mainline entries and a couple of the offshoots of the Final Fantasy series, as well as a bunch of other properties that Square Enix has either partnerships with or owns outright. So there is some Nier music, there's some is the Bravely music in here? I think it might be. Octopath Traveler is in here as well. Like, there's a lot of other series in the TF Rhythm games. And it's like just fun rhythm game. What they're showing you off here is probably easy mode. Or not easy mode, like normal mode, I guess. Hard mode is extremely difficult. And even higher than that, after that, they're even harder. There is a demo for it right now if you want to give it a shot. And we have Wild Hearts. Wild Hearts is EA's attempt to compete with Monster Hunter. And from what I've seen of the reviews and some gameplay, it's trying to compete, but the shadow of Monster Hunter is large. It really is eclipsed by the fact that Monster Hunter exists. But to be fair, Monster Hunter started in the PS2 era, and it has had that room to sort of evolve and improve, fan feedback, all these extra elements, and so on. Wild Hearts is coming in kind of fresh as a brand new IP, so, you know, give it a shot. Give it a bit of time. It might turn out to be really good. Right now it's having some performance issues. Obviously, if this is going to be a fairly large cooperative thing, with pretty precise attacks and boss battles, any kind of slowdown or performance problems is obviously going to be very frustrating. So I don't know, give it a month maybe, and they may have those issues ironed out. Tales of Symphonia Remastered. So I'm kind of showing this off mostly as a PSA because it's not a good remaster, or it's not a good port, or whatever way you want to look at it. It's kind of full of, again, performance issues, but just the general up-resing of assets just doesn't look great. And there was some concerns for that when we were seeing it the first time, but yeah, it's just not as good as the original. Like, the original is still there, and I would probably go for that over this one. Anyway, I suppose you'll know yourself whether or not you want to give that a shot. And then Blanc is a game that I had been looking into since it was announced. It is a co-op game that is, I believe, exclusive to the Switch for now. So 2 players can play either the wolf pup or the fawn. You are both trying to get back to your respective families. You've been abandoned, lost, who knows? But that's kind of the deal. You're meant to be sort of enemies. Obviously, a wolf versus a fawn, you know, one eats the other kind of thing. But you're meant to work together. You all have your different abilities, and what have you. The fawn has a good jump, I think. The wolf pup is kind of small. You can, hey, Banana, how's it going? How you getting on? From what I've seen from reviews, it's like, yep, it looks really nice. Tells a fun story, and the art style is really nice as well, but it probably would make a better film than a game, is what I've seen from some of the reviews. And one of the user reviews was kind of funny in that, yeah, it looks really nice until you realize it's blindingly white for like 5 hours. It's like, this is going to hurt your eyes for a really long time, which makes a lot of sense too. But none of the reviews mentioned that. It was only a user review that said that. It was pretty funny. Anyway, I think that's it for new releases. Yes, unfortunately, it is now time to talk about the worst parts of video games. The video game industry. You are just in time, Banana, for the worst part of this video series. Anyway, okay, so start off with some good news, because the rest of it is not good news. Anyway, Sega to increase Japan-based employee salaries by 30%. The wage jump will be effective in July, and so on and so forth. So employees will see a 30% bump in their wages. This is going along in lines with Capcom, who did something similar. Nintendo, Bandai Namco have also boosted the pay of all of their Japan-based employees. Sega said that they were doing this to further stabilize employee income, create a more comfortable working environment, and as well as to further strengthen its global competitiveness, which is, hey, don't leave the company, guys. Stay here. Here's more money. Don't leave the company. But also interesting, base salary for university graduates will increase as well by 35%. So that's your entry level stuff going up. So that's pretty good. But as I mentioned in the Capcom one, if they have room to increase salaries by 30%, how poorly were they being paid in the first place? That they have that much room. I mean, it's good. More money for people who make the games that you like, that who are actually involved in making the games, not just wearing a suit and sitting in a courtroom or boardroom. You'll be sitting in a courtroom. But still, if they have that much space that they can increase it by 30%, you gotta wonder how poorly were they being paid before that? Anyway. Okay, Doom composer donates his Atomic Heart fee to Ukraine after Russia controversy. So the Doom composer, Mick Gordon, who's also... Oh no, Doom composer, right, yes. He did he did the music for the original... not the original Doom. The reboots. Doom and Doom Eternal. And then there was some falling out between him and ZeniMax over the soundtrack, and it was a whole deal. Go back a couple of weekly news recaps and you'll see that. So the composer for Doom and Wolfenstein 2 recently announced that he would be donating his fee from his work on Atomic Heart to the Ukraine Crisis Appeal of the Australian Red Cross, because he's based in Australia. This decision comes weeks after the studio Mundfish, the developers of Atomic Heart, have been embroiled in controversy over its connections to Russia. So that's the kind of sting in this. It's whether or not he's doing this to sort of distract from this, but I kind of get the feeling that Mick Gordon's not really like that. Just from other stuff I've seen of him in articles, his responses to ZeniMax about the Doom Eternal soundtrack and stuff like that. Like, I don't think that's what he's going for. But anyway, he has his tweet, and it's a much longer letter here talking about his time at Mundfish. He stressed that he had a wonderful time with Mundfish and that he was looking forward to the release of Atomic Heart. So it seems like at the very least he's being diplomatic about it. But what's this whole criticism thing? So the studio had been criticized for its statement on the invasion of Ukraine. They were confronted with questions on its stance on the Russian invasion. So Mundfish, one, Atomic Heart is seen as a kind of glorification of Soviet-era Russia. I think that is a bit disingenuous as an argument towards it, because you could also claim that BioShock is a aggrandizement of like free market and libertarian values and Ayn Randiism kind of stuff, and it's not. It's an indictment of all that. Like, it all failed. It all went to shit in BioShock. That's kind of the point. It doesn't work. And I kind of feel that's what Atomic Heart is also doing with Soviet era stuff. It's kind of going, yeah, it looks nice, but it doesn't work, because this is a fucking apocalypse thing is happening here. He's sent in because it didn't work. Kind of shut down the whole thing. So I think that's a bit disingenuous, personally. I lost the stream. No? Okay, weird. Alright, I have the stream open here beside me as well, and I just think the iPad is shit, to be honest, for this kind of thing. All good here? Okay, good. Anyway, so yeah, I just think that kind of argument in the first place is a little bit disingenuous, but the reason they're kind of coming after Mundfish in particular is because they are a Russian company. Like, they have Russian investment and so on, so it's a question of whether or not they are, tied to the government. But this is something that's levied at... good for you too, Banana? Good, okay. This is something that's also levied at, like, Chinese-backed companies as well, like Tencent and stuff like that. It's like how much influence does their government have on them, and I just think it's kind of baseless. It's just, you just saw the word Russia and went angry at them. Because I work with people who are based in Russia and obviously get their investment from Russia. That's not their deal, It's whatever. They're just trying to do work. Anyway, Mundfish is saying pro-peace organization. They do not comment on politics, which is fine. They kind of have to tiptoe because, again, the Russian government is pretty heavy-handed, shall we say, on anti-war people. The studio, okay, so things got a bit weird when the studio equated anti-war comments to spam. and said, "We do not and will not condone contributors or spammers with offensive, hateful, discriminatory, violent, or threatening language or content." Now, the actual content we don't know because, it was blocked and what have you, so we don't know what exactly was said, but it was probably something like, you're shitheads for doing whatever. Mick Gordon was asked if his contribution was influenced by the public backlash last month, and he said, "Nope. My donation was an independent decision. I cannot speak on behalf of the studio or the charitable contributions." So, make of that what you will. Honestly, I think it's overblown, personally, but anyway. Moving on. Huge Firaxis shakeup sees XCOM director and studio head exit. So, this is news that Jake Solomon, the guy behind XCOM and Marvel's Midnight Suns, has left Firaxis after 20 years working there. As well as the studio head, Steve Martin, who have been with the company for 25 years, has also left. Now, when people who have been with the company for that length of time leave, something bad happened. Something really bad happened. The departures follow the disappointing launch of Marvel's Midnight Suns, so this came from a 2K financial call where they basically said it flopped. It didn't do as well as they wanted it to do. Which can kind of be fairly obvious because the game is kind of cheap to get now, and it's included in a lot of heavily discounted sales and stuff like that. And it's pretty new, which isn't, it's unfortunate because it's a pretty good game. It's unfortunate that that's happened. As Solomon says, "I'm thankful to everyone who enjoyed XCOM and Marvel's Midnight Suns, and to my development and publishing partners who helped bring those games to life. I love designing tactical turn-based games, but it's time for other smarter people to push that space forward." This is also news that Firaxis is pivoting to do the next Civ instead of another turn-based thing, instead of an XCOM or a follow-up to Marvel's Midnight Suns. They're going back to Sid Meier's Civilization. For Civ fans, yeah, great. I'm very happy for you, but XCOM is really good and I want another one. So yeah, what's probably happened is there's been a bit of a shakeup with studio leads. The chief operating officer is now head of the studio. This is a different story. I imagine there was some talks with people at 2K, Strauss Zelnick maybe, saying didn't do as well, maybe it's time for change of leadership in Firaxis, and Solomon and Steve Martin were probably we've been doing fine for 25 years, why change it now? Yeah, money, and they're right, fine, fuck you, see ya. For Firaxis and 2K's part, they said that we're leaving on good terms, but who knows? Who really knows? Alright, moving on. Original Metroid Prime developers omitted from the remaster's credits. So yeah, this isn't great. Isolated by itself, not a good look, but there is a trend recently in a lot of people being left off the credits list. And the trend is only because people are bringing it up. This has been happening since video games. Since they started. This has been happening. Mostly because video game developers don't have a union. Film Union will make sure that you are credited if you did any work on the film at all. You'll be in the credits. As long as you're part of the union. But video game developers obviously don't have that, so there's no incentive for them to be included in the credits. And a lot of the time that's kind of office politics shit, and who are you friends with? They get to be in the credits. Were you there when the game actually shipped? And so on. Getting your name even in QA. I did localization QA for a lot of games, and because I wasn't there when the game shipped, I wasn't in the credits for them. I did work on it, so I should be. Anyway, Zoid Kirsch, who was the senior engineer on the 2002 Nintendo title, Metroid Prime, took to Twitter to say, based on the work of Metroid Prime... to say that the credits includes a line that says, based on the work of Metroid Prime, development staff. That's it. It doesn't go into the actual people who worked on the game. Just, yeah, thanks for the game that we remastered and now we're getting all the credit for. Which obviously isn't great. He felt let down by this decision. I worked with so many amazing people on the game and everyone's name should be included in the remaster, not just a single card like this. So, yes, absolutely. People skip the credits anyway, so, there's not like you're having to trim them down for levity or something or brevity rather. Just look at just look at any Ubisoft games credits. They put pretty much everybody in, mostly because, France, unions. Anyway, but yeah, they're ridiculously long. Point is, if you did work on it, you should be credited because it is part of people, putting it on their CV or their resume for people in America. So this isn't a great look, particularly for a remaster, because the vast majority of the game's work was done by somebody else. The remastering thing, not to take away from people who do remasters, because there's obviously very important work. Adding in, like, dual stick controls and stuff like that, adding in motion support for Joy-Cons, upscaling all of the assets, new music, that kind of thing. That's a lot of work. Yes, you should get credited for it, but also the literal code that moves Samus around is done by somebody else, and you haven't credited them. That's not good. That's not good. I think there's potentially a gray area for a remake, right? If this was a full-on remake of the game, you could get away with, thanks to the people who made the original game, as a single card. I kind of feel you get away with it. I still think they should probably be added, but you can kind of get away with it. For a remaster, though, there's no gray area. They should be included. Like, the vast majority of the game is their work. If we're to believe what they say when they say remasters, that they just took the original code and made it work and made it look better and added in some quality of life improvements, then the vast majority of development was done by somebody else and you're not crediting them. That's not good. That's not a good look. But Metroid Prime isn't the only game doing it. Lots of games do it, unfortunately. Okay, it's the Activision Blizzard portion of industry bullshit. I really should just have like a subsection for this kind of thing. Anyway, Activision Blizzard employees are being forced to return to the office soon. It is claimed and has now been confirmed by Activision later on. Two separate social media users took to Twitter to talk about this whole return to office plan. Activision later came back to actually confirm it. Here it's basically say, yep, we're forcing people back. Fuck you, get back in the office. Today, Activision and Blizzard announced a return to office plan to employees. It begins in between April and June, depending on the studio. The company will see a large reduction in force if this occurs, because people are like, I'm not going back to working in the studio, so see ya. I'm gonna find a different job. Find a different company. For over a decade now, lower earning departments have pleaded with leadership to include yearly cost of living adjustments into salary to prevent this. They've been denied, and our most recent meetings from last month suggest that there are no plans for this to change this year, so they're not going to do anything about helping people commute now that they've moved away, because it was work from home. Now I don't need to actually live near my job, which is really expensive, because a lot of game developers are sitting in very expensive cities, high cost of living areas. So they're like, okay, well, if I don't actually have to live there now to be close to my job, I'm going to move somewhere cheaper and just work from home. It's like, no, fuck you. Get back in the office. Leadership isn't prepared for what is likely to happen, an exodus of talent as we find work elsewhere. Other jobs in the tech sector pay better and offer work from home, and it is clear our thoughts on the matter are irrelevant. What incentive do our employees have to remain at Activision Blizzard? Not much. Not much incentive, really. Activision, when they were asked for response, the expectation is for employees to be within a reasonable commute to the office. Define reasonable. They were hired for. Was that part of the hiring practice? Is that in the contract? Not stated. As a result, there are no permanent remote work opportunities within QA. QA do not need to be on site. All they need is the disk and Excel. That's it. Anyway, commuting is just not possible for some, as they took this remote job under the ideals of working from home. They can no longer commute, and night shift cannot find transportation at 3:30 in the morning. Where are you going to get a taxi 4 a.m.? Are you going to subsidize people who have to do that? Where are you going to find a train or bus service that does that? This is a little short-sighted, guys. So there was also, because we're still with Activision Blizzard King, there was an employee town hall for Blizzard this week. Blizzard proud of Mike Ibarra's leadership following awful company-wide meeting. So this week, Activision Blizzard said it is proud of Mike Ibarra's leadership following a disastrous company-wide meeting to discuss an internal employee satisfaction survey. Ibarra was asked several pre-screened questions, questions. That's how you know it's going to be a shit show, really. On its supposed use of stack ranking, which we talked about earlier in Weekly News Recap. This is the thing where they rank they rank their employees on their productivity, which is really shit. But also, it's done on a curve, which means even if you're doing a really good job, you're still going to be pushed either down or up on the curve, depending on everybody else, which is garbage. And also, somebody has to be at the lower end. Even if everybody had the exact same score, if you're graded on a curve, somebody has to be pushed lower, and somebody has to be pushed higher. That's why grading on a curve is garbage. But whatever, they were doing that, and still are doing that. The slashing of profit share bonuses. Guess who isn't getting a slash in their profit share bonus, though? You know who it is. And the announcement: employees will be required to return to the office, which we talked about in the last article. Blizzard employees soon took to social media after the meeting to express their outrage at Ibarra's comments. Blizzard is set to slash profit share bonuses. If you think that executives are making a lot of money and you aren't, you're living in a myth, according to Mike Ibarra. We know exactly how much C-Suite and E-Suite make. You know, it's public knowledge. You can look it up. And articles have looked it up. It is disgusting how much they make. But okay, Mike. You keep doing you, I guess. Concerns from employees about the impact of lower bonuses in the context of returning to the office, which will bring a higher commuting and or living costs. So again, they're doing nothing to subsidize or help people commute who now have an extremely long commute if they really, really want them back in the office. And not only that, they're actually slashing what they're paying them. Good shit. Ibarra did respond about this is in particular about people in QA and customer service. At the end of the day, oh sorry, no, this is something later. Okay, anyway, at the end of the day, we want people to be happy, and if wait, no, you don't, but okay. And if decisions about being happy don't align with where we're going, and you won't be happy, then you'll have to do what will make you happy. What does that sound like? That sounds like fine, quit. If you don't like it, quit, is what that sounds like. Not, hey, we'll work together, come to the table, we'll come to a compromise. No, it's our way. Fuck you. Quit if you don't like it. That's what that sounds like. Remember, Activision are proud of this, but okay. Employee concerns around financial difficulties were especially strong in the quality assurance and customer service departments. Ibarra responded, some of our disciplines are not long-term disciplines. They're proud of this, by the way. They're proud of him dismissing the work of the people that make the game good. Okay. It should also be noted, QA testers at Activision Blizzard, Raven Software, unionized because of this shit. Because of this dismissal of QA and customer service. Anyway. Blizzard stands by each of these statements, and we are proud of Mike's leadership in tough moments. Okay. So a couple of these are some quotes from people who are allegedly work for Activision and were at the meeting. I've been in the industry for nearly 10 years and I've never ever been as embarrassed by leadership figures as I am at this moment. It's the senior game designer Dylan Snyder, senior character artist Brian Bedford. After today, my confidence in leadership now only extends to Team 4, which I think is Overwatch, but I'm not sure, and no further. What an absolute mess of a week. I usually go out of my way to try not to poach people from my prior job because I don't want to make the team's life more complicated and I still want them to succeed, but ABK executive leadership is so monumentally terrible that I am also all about wanting to save people from that. And then also, it's not the only thing, limited on what I can share. We had a Q&A with leadership and the whole thing was just awful, made a large volume of employees feel extremely unimportant and unsupported. So far, so Activision Blizzard, honestly. Anyway. Moving on. Alright, so we're going to finish off with some really stupid, dumb stuff. Removal of vulva textures from The Witcher 3, not intended as a statement against nudity. What the fuck is this story? Right, anyway. The next-gen update for The Witcher 3 we accidentally put genitals in the game. Sorry, guys. Accidentally included realistic genitals for female monsters, which were not part of the original game. Okay. Note that there are realistic genitals for the male monsters, just not the female monsters. Yep, accidentally. Sure you did, guys. So what happened here? Basically, The Witcher 3 remaster, PS5, next-gen patch, what have you, is obviously like upscaled, 60 FPS, 4K HDR, all that jazz for next gen, but it also incorporates a bunch of community mods. It's like some of the really popular community mods have been added into the Witcher 5 next gen thing, and I'm guessing one of the community mods was oops vaginas, which is actually literally what happened. But anyway, we want to also add that the removal of these elements is not intended as a statement against nudity or mature themes. Which, I mean, did you need to say that? Did anybody think that was what was happening? If you've played The Witcher, they're very much not against nudity. Anyway, but rather an attempt to maintain visual coherence across all character models. I mean, another way to maintain visual coherence would be to give everybody genitals instead of taking genitals away. Just give them to everybody. I mean, like I said, the male monsters have dicks. Like, anyway. This includes these textures in the game was not something we planned from the start. So yeah, there was a mod that's still available if you really want to, if you're really interested in that kind of thing. If you really want to give your cockatrice a realistic cloaca, I guess. HD Monsters Reworked, HDMR VOD, is allegedly responsible. There's like a bunch of texture work done on the monsters, and that also included giving them labia. Okay. Anyway, it's being patched out, so if you want to keep it, the mod's there. Go download it, I suppose. And then last thing for dumb stuff: Armored Core 6 devs battle fans over sexy tag on Steam. So Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon, which was announced at the Jeff ads, or the Game Awards last year, is about a distant planet ravaged by war as factions fight for control of a dangerous new energy source. But players, or fans, I suppose, since the game's not out yet, fans are tagging the game as sexy and cute. and the developer's like, no, stop doing this. Players have also been suggesting dating sim and sexual content, and there's a bunch of like change lists as tags get added and removed and stuff like that. And it is a big trolling thing, obviously. But this has happened before in some other games, like one of the Star Wars games, somebody kept trying to add hentai to it, I think, and it kept being removed, something like that. This is only really noticeable because Fires of Rubicon is a pretty high-profile game, and also they're still doing it. Like, usually this kind of thing peters out and people kind of move on to something else. They just keep adding stuff to it in this. It's very funny. It's very, very, very funny and very dumb, and that's why it is in dumb stuff. Right. I will leave a dragon, maybe, to loop. Oops. Right, anyway, that is the news for February 13th to the 19th, 2023. I said that in a weird way. Anyway. So yeah, Frogware's Sherlock Holmes Awakened is being delayed. Understandable. Honestly, delay it further if you have space and have the money to do so. Obviously, developing in a war zone is going to be problematic. Diablo 4 beta, I'm still not sure if I'm going to play it. I mean, betas are free. I don't know how I feel about contributing to Blizzard, to be honest. Anyway, PlayStation Plus Catalogue Update was pretty good. Particularly since previous updates have been not particularly great. Particularly the PlayStation Plus Premium stuff has been kind of shit. But yeah, it's pretty good this month. Xbox Game Pass is pretty good as well. Not as good. I would argue the PlayStation Plus is a bit better this time around. Usually Game Pass is the much better offering. New releases. We are hitting the period now, which is the end of first quarter. So the February-March period is when all the games come out. So we're hitting that now, which is why you're seeing so many games and new releases. It's going to be even more as we move on. Like a Dragon Ishin, I am considering doing a Yakuza series playthrough, and that would be part of it, but that's quite a long while off. Wanted Dead, I talked a little bit about. We played it on the channel this week. You can check out the video over on the VOD channel if you want as well. Teeth Rhythm is probably going to have to be a game that I play just for myself, because it's pretty much an instant guaranteed content copyright warning as soon as you start playing it. So That is the issue with rhythm music games. You're almost certainly going to get content ID'd immediately. Wild Hearts, I think we just need to wait to see what happens on that. I think it just needs some performance improvements, so maybe like a month, 3 months from now, it'll be stable and you can give that a proper shot. But I don't think it's ever really going to compete with Monster Hunter for quite a few years. It's going to need a lot of refinement before that will happen. Blanc, I'm a bit disappointed with the reviews. I was kind of hoping that it would be a bit more fun. Gameplay-wise, it sounds like it's a bit too simplistic. And Tales of Symphonia, similarly, it doesn't seem like it's a good port, which is, again, also disappointing because that Tales of Symphonia, the original, is a very good game. Thanks for the follow, Satan, Lucifer, Demonic Devil. Should I be concerned? That does put me back to 50, though. So thanks for the follow. Thanks, Satan. Anyway, we're gonna move on to our channel update. So, what's happening on the channel this week? Where is the image? Somewhere here. Right. So this is our games roadmap, shortlist, mosaic, whatever way you want to put it. For I've been saying the first half of 2023, but chances are this is the entirety of 2023. But I guess we'll see. These will probably get swapped in and out. Gold wedge on the side of it means it's a full Let's Play. Green tick means it's appeared on the channel. Yellow tick means it's currently in progress on the channel. And the grey clock means it's on its way pretty soon. So stuff like PSVR 2, which is out next week. Atomic Heart, which is also out next week. Season is already out. I just haven't got around to playing it, and so on and so forth. Yay! Hail Satan! Everybody's here for Satan. Okay. So yeah, plenty of those games will. Most of them will appear. I can't say that all of them will, but most of them will appear on the channel. And so that is the plan. Wanted Dead, as you can see, is a green tick because we played it this week. So Wanted Dead. We played it on the channel. I talked about it a little bit earlier in the new releases. The full VOD is over on youtube.com/DoomTrain5, which you can see there somewhere. You can see there. I really liked it, but I do feel the gameplay will get very frustrating the further on we play with it. And as I did earlier say, I likened the gameplay to eating your vegetables and the actual in-between stuff to your dessert. Like, the interactions with the characters off mission, you know, the stuff where you're just walking around talking to people, the kind of dumb shit that happens in cutscenes and things like that, that's the dessert, and the gameplay is kind of your vegetables. I guess if you like vegetables, you're alright, but anyway. That's how I likened it to. I enjoyed it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna drop it down to easy mode, I might enjoy it more. Anyway, that is Wanted Dead. But continuing on the channel on Monday, we will be playing Resident Evil 4. Continuing. This week, we have gotten as far as the island and have rescued Ashley the first time on the island. How many times does she get captured and has to be rescued? I don't know. I should really have been keeping count. A lot of times. I was actually kind of dreading the stream this week, or last week, yesterday, because we were in a pretty poor position resources-wise. We did not have a lot of ammo. Go back and check the VOD for yesterday, just the first hour. It is incredibly stressful, because I had no resources. It was very difficult. But we're in a much better position now. We are hitting the latter third, we can say, of Resident Evil 4. Possibly it'll be finished this week. Maybe in the Saturday stream, I think we could potentially finish the main story at least. I would like to play the alternative campaigns, the Ada Wong's campaigns, before the remake comes out. We'll see if we have enough time for it. That is the plan. So we'll be doing that on Monday and Saturday. Wednesday, I didn't get around to playing Deliver Us Mars this week because I was very tired, and honestly, I'm still very tired. But yeah, we'll be continuing that. So we're still in the same place we were. We're on Mars. Some shit's happening. We can't find the people who are meant to have started the colony there. We can find all the marks of the colony, just not the people who should be there. So we'll continue with that this week. And Thursday, continuing Breath of the Wild. So there's a lot of long-running series here that are just continuing on. This week, Breath of the Wild, we completed Va Meadow, which is the flying divine beast. So that's 3 divine beasts out of 4. So this week, I'll probably take a bit of a break from the main plot, and I'll go explore some of the northern area, which is icy, snowy place that I did not have equipment to deal with at the time. I do now. So we will probably spend a bit of time doing that. We also got the Master Sword this week. So that does open up Trial of the Sword, which is an expansion thing, which is a sort of dungeon crawl for Legend of Zelda. It's kind of tough. So I would probably just dedicate a stream to doing that, but I think a bit later on. I'm not quite ready to do that just yet. But yeah, that will be an interesting stream. I've never managed to complete it, so we'll see how it goes. And that is it, unfortunately, for this week, because there won't be a stream this Friday. So Monday and Saturday, Resident Evil 4, probably finish the main campaign. Wednesday, Deliver Us Mars as part of the Foley Fable series, and Thursday, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where we're going to explore the northern snowy region and probably Lanayru Mountain as well, which is off to the east, which is a similarly snowy region. Breath of the Wild all day, every day. I don't know. Maybe. If the Tears of the Kingdom release is coming up and we still haven't completed it, it might end up being, every single day. Even the weekly news recap. I just talk about the news and play Legend of Zelda at the same time. Anyway, that is the plan. There's no stream on Friday because it's going to be the first D&D session, or the first D&D session that I am DMing of 2023. The party is in a very precarious situation. I have trapped them between a black hole and a pretty terrifying enemy who can clone all of their. I'm not gonna say. Just in case they're watching, I'm not gonna give it away. But yeah, they're in a pretty bad position, so it'll be fun. Interested to see how they're gonna get out of that. Anyway, that is the plan. For next week, Resi, Deliver Us Mars, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I will be away in the middle of March, so it's about 3 weeks away. So I'm hoping to get Resident Evil 4 done before that, so that when I come back, we can jump straight into Resident Evil 4 Remake. Anyway, that is the plan. So, that's it also for the news for this week as well. Something I wanted to say, and I can't think about it now. Oh yeah, suggestion box. There's a suggestion box under the channel. If you scroll down in the About section, if you have any suggestions for the channel, games to play, stuff like that, drop them in there. You get to say "fuck you" to me once in the suggestion box. Only once a week. Okay, if you're doing more than once a week, you're banned. You can only do it once. Okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm very tired and I'm umming and ahhing a lot, mostly because of that. So I'm going to head off for the rest of my day. Have a good day yourselves. Melwyn, who is in the chat right now, will be streaming Mafia later on today. I don't know if it's the Mafia she likes or the Mafia she doesn't like, but, give us maybe tune in and check her out later on today as well. Right. Have a good rest of your day. See you guys tomorrow for Resident Evil 4. Bye-bye.
Bye.